Beta testing is still underway, and it's about time I take a look at the Protection Paladin. This tank has always been a popular one, and a stable tank for both Raid and Mythic Plus. While not necessarily a meta tank coming out of Dragonflight, there are a lot of attractive qualities this tank has to offer, so let's take a walk. Before we dive in, a quick disclaimer. This is obviously beta. There is still a ton of time for Blizzard to make changes or tweaks to certain abilities, sets, or effects. With that out of the way, let's talk about some of the talent changes alongside some of the hero talents. One of the major changes that we're going to be seeing for this spec is a slight talent reshuffle. With the removal of any and all attack range modifiers, Paladins have lost their Crusader's Reprieve, a talent which increased the range of Crusader Strike, or I guess in this case like Hammer of Righteous, or Blessed Hammer, along with Rebuke or Auto Attack by 3 yards. This also means they lost the additional 2% heal from the filler. This has been replaced with a talent called Touch of Light. This talent causes your abilities to deal additional holy damage to enemies or restoring a small amount of health to allies. While the class tree didn't receive many changes, the spec tree definitely got reshuffled. First, we can see that the 2 choice nodes in tier 1 got swapped. Honestly, I don't really see the point in this because nothing actually changes, you still have to spend points here. But another choice node was actually broken up and now are both accessible. This includes both improved Holy Shield as well as Sanctuary. Now, the improved block chance is cool, but it's not necessarily going to be grabbed, and due to the pathing availability from Ardent Defender, there isn't really a need to play improved Holy Shield unless specifically aiming for consecrated ground. It's also worth noting that Sanctuary has been reworked from a DR to a lingering consecration effect, allowing for Paladins to easily reposition without losing the benefit of their mastery, which has been needed for a long time. The consecrated ground node also used to be a choice node with Tyrion's Devotion, but this has actually been moved and paired with Light of the Titans. I don't believe this node will be played at like a face value, though there are arguments that it could be strong with Lightsmith, but now, regardless, it is more accessible. What's nice about all of these shifts, along with the reduced point cost from nodes like Bulwark of Order, it allows these points to be spent actually further down the tree. As most Paladins know, it's common to spend 10 points in the first tier of the tree, despite only 8 being required to move down due to pathing, or I guess in this case power. A few of the tier 2 changes include a previous mentioned reduction of the cost of Bulwark of Order, along with the split of Soaring Shield and Focused Enmity. Not sure if this is a luxury or a detriment, as Seal of Appraisal was shifted back to where Bastion of Light used to be, and this is now a talent in the tier 3 row. Another notable change was actually the move of the choice nodes Strengthen Adversary and Crusader's Resolve. These have both found a new home in the tier 3 of the tree alongside Bastion of Light. This has added some strength and choices to the tier 3 in the spec tree, which can be good, but not sure if it's going to change our preferred choices. Beforehand, we used to grab Soaring Shield for Mythic Plus in tier 3, but now it's going to be easily grabbed up in tier 2, which will then allow us to path directly into Crusader's Resolve or Strengthen Adversity. If you want a more single target focused build, it's now going to be pretty easy to pass down through Focused Enmity, then into Farron Marcus's Fervor instead of the choice node. You'll notice that there are a few additional paths down in the tier 3, but most likely it's not going to change how we've normally pathed in the past. The last thing I do want to mention is that Bastion of Light was reworked. Originally, it would cause your next 3 Holy Power spenders to be free, but now it causes your next 5 casts of Judgment to generate additional Holy Power. Originally, I was a little sad with this change because I thought it would have some good synergy with the Templar hero talent tree, but there were some inherent flaws with the old design, mostly causing for like this awkward buildup of Holy Power capping due to the internal cooldown of the off cooldown spell Shield of the Righteous. While the pathing rework doesn't really present any game changers to the class or spec, it does offer slightly better pathing between Raid and Mythic Plus. My only complaint is that I feel like there are a few dead zones, located here between Improved Holy Shield and Consecrated Ground, and then down here in this clump of talents with Faith in Light, Hand of the Protector, and Seal of Charity. I'd like to believe that at some point we might take these, or they're maybe worthwhile like when you're playing Lightsmith, but it's yet to be seen, maybe with a future tier set, or proper tuning. Speaking of tier sets, let's talk about the Protection Paladin for this first season, and the 2 set bonus reads, Shield of the Righteous deals 10% increased damage and grants a 3% damage reduction. Sadly, from my testing, neither aspects of these sets are working, so there's not really too much to talk about here, though similar to other tank sets, you are seeing a small damage increase that takes almost no brain power to use, alongside a flat damage reduction. I'm not sure how long the 3% damage reduction is actually going to last, or if it's going to be directly tied to Shield of the Righteous uptime, but either way, it's just generally pretty lackluster, but strong nonetheless. Quickly, the 4 set reads, casting a holy power ability increases the damage and healing you deal during your Avenging Wrath by 0.5%. This effect stacks. Now, the idea of the set sounds pretty cool to me. It's pushing a lot of our damage increase into your cooldowns, and has some interesting synergy potential with Sentinel, which can be extended by spending holy power. Now, this set is super bugged. First, Shield of the Righteous is actually not granting stacks, like, at all. Only Word of Glory is. With the mana pool changes going into the War Within, it's impossible to limit test this currently, since I went after spending like 13 Word of Glories. Also, this isn't practical because without Shield of the Righteous, the Paladin, you're dead. You're as good as dead. Also, the stacks are only granting 0.3% damage increase instead of 0.5, and on top of that, at 13 stacks, the Rising Wrath buff gave an outstanding 85% damage increase, which doesn't feel like the math is mathing here. And while it's impressive, and I was able to hit a 1.3 Hammer of Light with the Templar tree, it's definitely bugged. So without the set working, Paladin is definitely not in a completed state. Once they fix the major bugs with this, I'll be sure to update all of you. Briefly, I do want to talk about hero talents, but I'm definitely not going to go in depth since I'll save that for a separate video. Templar is definitely one of my favorite of the two. This has the Paladin calling down hammers that cause just like massive damage, and it turns your Eye of Tyr into a pretty powerful ability, not only granting additional holy power generation, but also allowing access to the ability Hammer of Light, which is a massive hit on the primary target, along with some, passive cleave. The rest of the tree improves, the amount of hammers that you rain down from the sky, along with adding a buff management system with Shake the Heavens. Once they fix the tier set and Mythic Plus testing comes back around, I'm going to be doing a little bit more in-depth look at this tree. Moving over to the Lightsmith, this is definitely something that can tickle any player who has the itch to be basically a support bot. Not that you lose any power or anything, but the whole design philosophy of this tree revolves around buffing yourself and your allies, granting players a Sacred Ward, which is a sizable absorb shield, or granting them Sacred Weapons, which is adding additional holy damage to attacks, and a significant amount at that. The tree tends to lean a little bit more into group healing as well, with aura healing, increased Devo effectiveness, alongside some additional procs of Shining Light and Lay on Hands. Though my major concern right now is really the mana the cost that Shining Light or Word of Glory actually costs. So if Blizzard addresses this could be a pretty powerful tree. Anyways, I really do like the direction that Blizzard is actually deciding to move with the Protection Paladin. A damage, hammer-focused playstyle that really feels Diablo-esque, attacking enemies with Vindication of Light, or, on the other hand, a support type role, buffing and healing allies through Weapons of Light. Obviously, the tier set's not working, which is a massive drawback, but I'm hopeful that by the next round of testing, players will really dig into the properly working Lightsmith or Templar Protection Paladin. Anyways, let me know what you all think down below. I'm interested in hearing from you glue-eating mains. Huge thank you to all my Patreon supporters, because without you guys, there would be much less videos like this. I hope you're all staying happy, healthy, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.